Okay, guys, welcome back to another Chef Look Cooks. This is going to be the last in our series of our excellent adventures. We've done some poached eggs in the past of different varieties. Today we're going to do a poached egg of a different sort. We're going to stream the egg into some hot broth and make an egg drop soup. I kind of grabbed a bunch of different egg drop soup recipes and smashed them together into something that I think is going to be really tasty. Classic egg drop soup is really just like broth, garlic, ginger, and eggs. It's like the most simple thing you can make. It doesn't take a lot of time. If you're feeling sick or just like want something warm but also protein rich, it's a really good dish to be able to make at home. You just heat up the broth, add some garlic and ginger. You put a little bit of cornstarch slurry in there to thicken it, and then you just drizzle your eggs in however many you want, and you've got delicious soup. So at its core, that's egg drop soup. Hot and sour soup is the soup that I really love eating personally all the time. It's got that sort of sweet and sour and savory thing all going on. So I wanted to incorporate that as well. That's why we're adding vinegar into the dish as well to make that hot and sour, and a little bit of chili flake. We'll just put a little bit in. I'll let you put more on top if you want it. And then the sort of middle ground here where we're all meeting is with like a classic Chinese egg drop soup, which tends to have a tomato base, and that's why we're adding tomatoes as well. So we're really just pulling it all together, essentially doing a Chinese hot and sour. And a lot of hot and sours do have tomato paste in them already, but we're going full bore with some actual crushed tomatoes. So it'll also help to thicken the soup, so we might not have to use all of our cornstarch slurry. A lot of cornstarch in this recipe, you may have noticed. For 2 quarts, you've got a 1/4 cup. You really want the broth to be nice and thick. That's going to help the eggs have something to resist, and they'll get really nice strands. If the broth is too thin, the eggs tend to just sort of like break apart. You don't get those nice long threads that we're hoping for. So we'll see how that goes. Full disclosure, guys, I've never made egg drop soup before. So now, this is not the first time I've done something here for the first time, but it's soup. I'm a pretty good chef. I think we're going to be okay. So without further ado, we're going to jump right in. We're going to go ahead and start with some mushrooms. I have some shiitakes today. You can use any mushrooms you're comfortable with, or no mushrooms at all. The reason I like hot and sour soup versus egg drop is that hot and sour is all about adding stuff. It's all about using up things that are in your fridge. If you've got some leftover daikon, put it in there. If you've got some leftover squash, put it in there. Whatever you want from your fridge, toss it into the soup, make that broth, and then drop your eggs in. Classically, mushrooms are part of that, though. Shiitakes being one of the most flavorful ones, so they're very good because they actually add to the broth as well, as that instead of asking to be flavored, which you'll get with like a white mushroom. You're not really adding tons of flavor. So that being said, if you don't like mushrooms, shiitakes do have a fairly woody flavor. It's going to add some flavor to this broth, so you might taste it in the background, but feel free to pick them out. You're not going to offend me. Maybe your neighbor wants them. They're really nice. They almost have like a gummy texture as opposed to like a white button or a cremini mushroom, which tends to have a lot more like of a soft sort of, you can bite through it in one go, whereas this you might have to chew it a little bit. I personally like that because I flippin' love mushrooms. I'm literally wearing mushroom earrings right now. But just to be aware, I just wanted to sort of put that out there. We've dealt with similar strong flavors before with cilantro. Unfortunately, there isn't really a way for me to not put these in the soup. But they are going to be, I'm keeping them nice and big like this on purpose so you guys can easily pick them out. If you're allergic to them, that's a whole nother issue. I really am sorry, but most people aren't allergic to mushrooms. So nobody allergic to mushrooms. Good, great, beautiful. I would hope that, that we would be able to work around that, but with mushrooms it's tough. So I'm going to start with a little bit of oil here. This is just to brown the mushrooms. I used to just put my mushrooms in the pan after I did my onions, after I did my everything, and I just sweat them down and get them cooked, and that was great. And then one day my friend was like, "What are you doing? You're ruining your mushrooms." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, they're cooked. They're going to be squishy and soft anyways. Why do I have to like do anything to them?" And so they taught me about browning my mushrooms, and I've never ignored that ever since. So mushrooms have a lot of moisture in them, and they're also incredibly like strong fiber-wise. Like, they're not going to break down no matter what you do to them. So what I like to do is I'll get my pan pretty hot, and I'll put them in the bottom, and I'll just let them sit. Because they have so much water in them, they're not likely to stick to the pot, because as they cook, they're going to release that water, and they're going to brown really well, and they're going to develop really, really good flavor. So that's like my first step with mushrooms all the time. I will start with mushrooms, and then I'll add my garlic or onions or whatever, which I used to add before. That way they get a really nice brown color, especially for the soup. That brown color will start to dissolve in the water when we get it in there, add to the broth. It's going to add a lot of good flavor. So I'm going to put this whole thing in here. The recipe calls for 8 ounces. This is about 10 ounces. But shiitakes are a lot more flavorful than like a brown mushroom or a white button mushroom. So I'm okay with using less weight because the flavor is going to actually be more at the end. And for this soup, it's really all about getting that broth as flavorful as possible. And I'm just going to hit this with a little bit of salt to help that water come out of the mushrooms, but not so much. We are going to be using soy sauce as our main salt ingredient here, but I don't want to add water to this pot right now because I do want these to brown a little bit, and so the water that's in them is going to be all I'm going to need for that. And right now, I'm just pushing these into the pan to try and maximize contact with the bottom of the pan. If I was cooking, ooh, that's like a whole shiitake. Let's get that one up. If I was cooking at home, I'd probably do this in like a cast iron or something on the side. But for soups especially, I really like, if I can, doing everything in one pot. And I think there's just enough surface area here that this is going to work out really well. You can kind of hear them screaming as their water gets evaporated out. So we're just going to let them sit. Like I said, mushrooms are really fun because it's pretty hard for them to actually like stick or burn to things because they have so much moisture in them. You really have to like forget about them. So I've got an entire bowl of garlic here. We're going to put this whole thing in there because I'm going to try and fill this up. I think the recipe calls for 3 cloves, but I mean, for anybody who's been here before, you know I don't follow recipes when it comes to garlic. It's all about just however much you want. And for me, usually it's always an entire bowl, no matter what I'm cooking. Unless the recipe calls for more than one bowl, and that's in which case it's multiple bowls. But most recipes are usually like 2 or 3 cloves, and I'm always like, yeah, bet, let's go more. So we're just going to crush this up. I'm going to chop it up fairly small. I don't want big pieces of garlic in here. Some dishes I don't mind, especially a broth soup. If I have like a big chunk of garlic, if I'm making miso or something when I'm really sick, I don't want to cut garlic, I'm sick. So I just crush it and throw it right in there. And when I get a nice chunk of garlic later, it's great. It's very sort of medicinal. But in this situation, the only textures I really want are going to be the tofu and the mushrooms and a little bit of that carrot. The garlic I want to be more sort of in the broth and more as a flavoring agent. Same with the ginger, and we'll grate the ginger later using a microplane. I have it in the freezer. This is a technique that I've showed you guys in the past as well. Works really great, and we'll see what that looks like. Ooh, this thing's getting nice and hot today. I love that. Oh yeah, these are looking good. I can see there's a little bit of moisture. I got plenty of moisture coming out of the pan. If that ever stops, if you stop seeing moisture coming out, that's a really good sign to stop cooking them. That's going to have to take a while, which is great, which is why I started with the mushrooms. Gives me time to prep the rest of my ingredients. This garlic's a little weird. I'm not going to use that one. Garlic's really intense flavor-wise, so if you get a piece that's like a little bit off, a little bit pungent, like in the gone rotten stage, that's going to come right through, and you don't want that to happen. So always be, you know, I'm pretty good at using old. No, you're fine. Welcome. I'm pretty good at using old stuff. Like, I don't really mind. I just had tomatoes that were like 2 months old that were green tomatoes when I put them on my counter, and were now the last tomatoes I ate of the season this morning, and they were fine. You know, a little squishy, but they weren't like fermented. And you know, even if they're fermented, I'll usually put it in a pasta sauce or something. I just can't ever waste a good island tomato. But you got to be careful with things like that. You know, and garlic especially, that flavor is just too aggressive. You know, I can cook off the little bit of alcohol that might have fermented in my tomatoes over, you know, the last month, but cooking off the weird, funky garlic scent, it's not happening. It's just, alliums are very tough like that. It's similar with onions. If you get an onion that has like a really bad, slimy core, you can pick around if you really need it, but in general, I'm throwing that onion away and going to another one. Or if you got it from the supermarket, try and get your money back if you can. Although onions are so cheap nowadays, it's not even worth the gas necessarily. But all right, these are looking good, like really good. They smell amazing too. You can see, well, maybe you guys can see that they're starting to sort of change color too. They're not as like white as, they're starting to get a little bit more yellow. That's the moisture sort of starting to move through them, rehydrating all the cells as they're breaking down. That's what we want to see. And there's still plenty of moisture in the bottom of the pan, which is what I want. So I don't think these are gonna stick anytime soon. Hopefully, man, I wish I got a different garlic bulb. That's like 3 now. That one's not as bad as the others though. I think I'm gonna just cut that off. Yeah, that's okay. I guess we're going to be closer to the recipe than we want it to be. It's okay. We're still well over. All right, we're going to get the rest of these little skins out of here. Dice these up. And you can buy pre-chopped garlic if you want to. I'm not going to judge you. It actually is really sweet. I like pre-chopped garlic for certain applications when I really want like the sweetness of the garlic to come out. And a dish like this where I'm really mixing sour and spicy, adding a little bit extra sweet in there isn't going to hurt anything. I would just use more. If you're using pre-chopped garlic, something that came in a can, probably double how much you're using because it never has that same sort of pungent garlic flavor that you're really looking for. Ooh, that's a lot of garlic. I like it. I was never good at chopping garlic. I don't know if you guys have any good techniques for it. I don't. I never figured it out. If you like get the bulbs and they're nice and whole, you can slice them first and do like the sticks and cubes method. But I never. Every time I try and chop garlic, this happens. It just like goes all over the place. I have before in the past tried to like squish it into the cutting board and then chop it, and that works okay as well. And it helps sort of release the enzymes too, which is nice. That should be good though. Those are small enough, I think. Just put that to the side. We're going to be adding this with the carrots, so we'll just put them both around the same cutting board. So I got some big, large carrots. We're doubling the recipe that you guys have in your hand, so I'm using 2 carrots. And this was basically 6 cloves of garlic, so I'm sad to say that we're actually like on recipe for garlic. I'm just going to take a quick peek at the bottom of one of these. Yeah, it hasn't even turned that brown yet. Great. So we got plenty of time on that. Awesome. I'm just going to let that keep going. I have this microplane, which has a small side. We're going to use this for ginger later. I'm going to use this big side for carrots now. If you have a box grater, I'd use that instead. We just don't have one at the library right now. And it's not something we really use that often. These carrots are mainly here for flavor. They're going to add that little bit of sweetness that, you know, like the canned garlic might have added. And they're going to add just a tiny bit of texture and some color as well. So when we go to serve this up later, we're going to have this sort of really nice colored broth, the brown of the mushrooms, the orange from the carrots, the white from the tofu. We're going to have the greens from the scallions, and then the yellow from the egg, and it's all going to just look really, really beautiful. Kind of autumnal as well, which is nice. Really sort of welcoming in the snow. Yeah. I did not peel the carrots. I almost never peel any of my root vegetables. Potatoes, carrots, I don't even bother. I did wash them, and these are organic as well, so you don't have to worry about pesticides and such, but in general, I just don't peel my root vegetables. The skin, especially of root vegetables, is where most of the nutrients are because that's their barrier against the outside world. So that's where they put most of their effort into growing a nice thick skin. And especially when I'm shredding it like this, I'm never going to notice that skin. Some people, you know, if I was making like a really clear broth and I really, really cared about, you know, like presentation and such, I might peel my carrots beforehand. But in this situation, I'm really using them more as like a veggie paste, sort of like a bouillon, sort of, to supercharge this this stock that I have. Definitely not the best grater for this, but we're getting there. Let's go, buddy. And again, this is why I really just love browning mushrooms like this. I just have that thing going, and I can really get into the rest of my prep. So it's a really great way to start. Usually I'd be starting with onions, and it sort of changes the pace of cooking. These are actually pretty nice big carrots. I might not use the whole other one. Good in there. And let's just take off this tip. Buy a new one. I know, it stinks. Yeah, yes, there is a way to sharpen them, but it's nothing I ever want to do. You get a little file, and you go in there and you file, but yeah, they're usually when they aren't working correctly, they're not actually dull. It's that the little tines have been pushed down, so you just need to come in from the bottom and push them up a little bit more. So they're not catching the food essentially. So that's mainly your problem, and you can usually test that by just feeling. Like if it feels too smooth and it's not catching your fingers, it probably just needs to be pushed up from the bottom. Because they're not even that sharp in general, they're just thin. Thin things are essentially sharp. So that's generally how they work. But you can also sharpen them. I know people who will sharpen their microplanes, usually in really fancy restaurants where you're like microplaning daily, lots and lots of different really high impact things. Or if you're like doing truffles or something like that, you might want a really sharp microplane so you don't bruise it. But I usually don't bother. I'm actually gonna we'll see what this looks like once it starts to heat up. I don't want to put too much carrot in. I don't want this to be carrot soup. And I also think these mushrooms are pretty much ready to go. Yeah, awesome. So let's go ahead and give these a stir. Oh, that smells so good. The word for that smell is umami, and that's why I really like shiitakes. So you can see they're nice and brown on one side, and not all of them are going to be like that. This is definitely a great example, but that's exactly what I'm looking for right there. And that, you just saw that. I didn't touch that for, what, like 5 minutes? And they're fine. They could have lasted another 5 probably. But we're getting this party started. So let's go ahead and get our garlic and our carrots in there. And we're just putting this in. We're building our stock base now. I could make this whole soup with water if I wanted to. I would just have to put a little bit more soy sauce in, or some actual salt at this stage to make more of a broth. But we're going to use a really nice veggie stock. I actually grabbed 2 different types of veggie stock. Turn this down a little bit so we don't... Oh, that smells so good. I love garlic. So you can already see the colors are just really starting to pop. I think that's going to be enough carrots. I think I'm just going to put this aside for snacks later. Rinse this off. Sweet. All right, what's next? I already forgot. Oh yeah, that's right. So we're going to cook this through a little bit just to heat through. I'm not going to bother adding salt because both of these broths are fairly salty. I grabbed 2 different broths. There's this new one, garden vegetable broth, which I've never seen, by unknown company. I'm very excited about it. It's got less sodium than normal, which is good. I always like to be in control of how much I season my soups, if I can be. And then I got sort of another classic, just basic veggie broth, but they were both on sale, and I was like, I'll try them together. You know, it can't be bad. In generally, if you're using like a pre-made product like this, I do like to like grab 2 different kinds and mix them together. It just adds more complex and dynamic flavors. They might use different veggies from different parts of the country, from different times of the year. I just don't know, but if I mix them together, I always feel like I'm guaranteed a good product. There are certain situations where I wouldn't do that. Like if I'm doing a really, really clear broth, something that's super, super simple, like a basic egg drop soup, I might want to stick to just one broth, maybe one that I know is really good. But I haven't used either one of these particular containers, so I figured I'd mix them together and we'd be in good shape. This is looking good, smelling good, it's getting nice and heated through. So we're going to add a whole bunch of stuff right now. It's most of our liquid. We're basically making the soup at this point. So I'm just going to get it all together and then we're going to add it all. So we got our broth. We got tomatoes. Let's crack this stinker open. So I use crushed tomatoes. You can use tomato puree and just add some water to it as well. This is the bad one. I couldn't remember which one was the bad one. I wonder if I should just throw this away at this point. Let's make sure this is the good one before I do that. Well, this is even worse. Okay. Whoa, boy. I got this. My mom will attest when we were kids, we had a really, really, really bad can opener, but man, we knew how to make that thing work for us. Sweet. So I like this because it's a little bit thicker than like a tomato sauce would be, but it's not so thick that it's going to like over thicken my soup. I really don't want like chunks of tomato in there necessarily, although there's nothing wrong with that. If you want chunks of tomato in your egg drop soup, get the cubed tomatoes instead. It's not going to hurt anything. Egg drop soup really is like a fridge cleaner. If you got something in your fridge, in your cupboard that you want to get rid of, you think it's going to go good with eggs, put it in. I'm not going to tell you no. I'll definitely come over and eat some if you got extra too. All right, let's see. So that is our tomatoes. I couldn't find bamboo shoots. They don't exist. They're probably at Kronig's or something like that, but they were not at the store that I went to. But it's okay. It's just a little bit of texture. They don't really taste like much, so we're not really losing anything apart from that little bit of texture. And I think we're getting some of that back with the carrots and the shiitakes anyway, so it'll be fine. But if you have bamboo shoots, you can put the whole thing in with the liquid. Makes things really easy for this step of it. Vinegar, I've got my vinegar here ready to get measured. Soy sauce, I got that there ready to get measured as well. I got 2 different types of soy sauce because I think I might use this one up, but I'm going to start with this one because that's my preferred. Chili flakes, I got a bowl there. I'm just going to grab some out of there for our measurement. Ginger, oh yeah, that's right, cool. So ginger I put in the freezer because it just grates so much easier once you do that. So I'm going to use my microplane. I'm going to use the small side this time. I'm not going to peel the ginger either. The skin on ginger is so incredibly thin that it's not going to affect pretty much anything about this experience. So I'm just going to go right for it. And when it's frozen like this, it comes off almost like a snow, which is really fun. But then the snow like immediately melts into a paste. It's really, really amazing. I don't remember who taught me this, but it has changed my life. I used to hate chopping up ginger. It's so hard to get small enough that like you can't feel it on your mouth. And sometimes I want big chunks of ginger. Again, when I'm making miso soup, it's all about big chunks. Big chunks of carrots, big chunks of garlic. I'll just put like a whole chunk of ginger in there because I'm sick. I don't need to be doing work when I'm sick. I just need to be having soup in my belly. But I really love this method. It's really great for putting on pretty much anything. It's right next to the ice cream too, so you can grate a little bit on top if you want. It's just perfect. It's hard to measure. That's the only thing that I will mention. That looks like a lot of ginger, but we actually probably want twice that much because it's just not made of anything. So anyway, we're gonna go ahead and just keep grating. Whoa, let's get that out of the way before I cause a travesty. I only got 1 can of tomatoes, so that goes, we're toast. So I would say I'm probably using about 3 inches. And again, that's a double, so you'd use about 1.5 inches to an inch, depending on how much you want. I really like ginger, so we're going for it. We'll call it, should be good. And you just pop this back in the freezer. You don't have to do anything, you don't have to wrap it. It can just sit in there like that. It is totally fine. It does not care one little bit what you do to it while it's in the freezer. All right, great. This is starting to lose its moisture, starting to stick a little bit to the bottom. So that's letting me know that it's time to go. I'm going to start putting some liquid in there. Let's go. Last one. Come on. That's weird. Well, I already don't like this broth. I literally wrote a paper when I was a kid about packages that don't open. You guys remember milk cartons, right? Like, who invented that? Anyways, Pringles had it right. Everything should come in a Pringles container. That is not an official endorsement of Pringles, just their container. My God, is it so easy to open one of those things. But every time I like get a container, especially nowadays, that like has one of those little pull tabs and the pull tab breaks off. Yeah, this is the winner. This one just opened so easy. Let's go. Now we know who's going to be my next purchase. I do like the name of this too, Garden Vegetable Broth. You know, it feels more sort of enticing. But anyways, yeah, I'll have to pull that. Maybe I'll republish it. We've got our little short story thing. I'll put my short story in there about, you know, things that don't open easily. Oh man, this company's bad, guys. This is not official or anything, but this one right here opens really poorly. Okay, so we can write a letter to them maybe and tell them how much we don't enjoy it. I'm gonna crank this boy up because I want to just get it as hot as possible so I can start the simmering and the melding. Nice. All right, get all of our tomatoes in there. I'm gonna rinse this out with a little bit extra water. What's that?
James Brown.
Oh, nice. Let's go. Okay, cool. Then we gotta make sure we get everything else in there as well. I'm gonna make sure I put this ginger in there before it melts too much, because it will just melt into a paste that's very, very unwieldy. Oh yeah, baby. That's looking great already. Doesn't even heat it up. It's gonna start to look a lot smoother once it starts to heat up and things start to cook and meld. It's gonna be great. I think that's just the right amount. All right, I got my 1/4 cup here. So we're doing, I gotta read the recipe at this point because I've never done this before. I could just go with it, but I wanna make sure this tastes really, really good for you. So broth's in, tomatoes in, we're not doing bamboo shoots, we're doing vinegar. Vinegar, I believe, is a 1/4 cup, so I'm gonna put 1/2 cup in total. This is called hot and sour soup for a reason. Vinegar is how we make it sour. Usually I'd use rice vinegar here, but I've got this red wine vinegar to use up, so I just figured I'd use that first. Perfect. And there's a little bit of sediment in there, but that's fine. We're cooking with this. If I was using this in like a salad or something, I would be more concerned about that. But that sediment's going to break down in there. That's just all the really nice flavors that make this red wine vinegar in the first place. So I'm not concerned about putting that into the soup one bit. That's going to break down. It's going to melt. it's going to turn back into, it's basically vinegar powder, which is, if you've never had malt vinegar powder before, it is an amazing invention. It's not even an invention, it's just dehydrated vinegar. But it's this little white powder. You can shake it on everything. It's acetic acid, I believe, is the actual like chemical compound, but it comes from apple cider vinegar, so it has like a little bit of extra sort of stuff in it. But anyways, that is all to say that that little bit of particulate from the bottom is not going to be a problem whatsoever. That is vinegar. It's just been sort of, vinegar's been around for a little bit. So we're using it up. We're doing exactly what we're supposed to be doing with this recipe. Vinegar, soy sauce, that's right, 3 tablespoons. So we're going to go ahead and do 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come on, 6. And I'm going to put a little bit extra in there because I did add that that can of water from the tomatoes. So I just want to make sure I have a little bit extra salt in there. And we'll taste this before we do the actual egg drop, just to make sure. I have a feeling it's probably going to want a little bit more salt. But we'll see. I've been eating a lot more salt. And actually with the carrots in there, it already kind of looks like the eggs are like in there. That's the same sort of texture we're going to have, but they'll be hopefully thicker ropes. So that's actually kind of fun. I hadn't anticipated that when I added the carrots. It kind of gives that extra like visual appeal of egg drop without, even if you mess up your eggs, which we're not. We're not going to mess up our eggs. Soy sauce, chili flake, let's go. Okay, I'm just going to put a little bit in here. I believe I said a teaspoon. This is half a tablespoon, which is 2 teaspoons. So we're going to use half of this. Don't want to spice you guys out. This is not super spicy chili in the first place, but I'm going to make sure you guys have access to that later if you want to really kick your broth up a little bit more. Ginger's already in there. Beautiful. That's everything. Let's go. Stir that up. Going to put this thing on max so I can bring it to a boil. That smells so good. It's just like vinegary and a little salty. Might as well have a little taste right now. Why not?
Chef, what are those yellow things?
Floating, that's the shiitakes.
Okay.
Oh, fudge, yeah. Yes. Okay, that's going to be really good. It's like cold and it's amazing. So we know that's going to be good once it gets heated up. So I got firm tofu, not extra firm. For soup especially, I really like my tofu to be, once it cooks in the soup, it's going to absorb that delicious flavor. And I feel like extra firm tends to have like a harder skin on it. So if you put it in a soup like that, it's not going to absorb as well. But I don't want anything softer than this because then it's just going to turn into mush in the soup. And we want to have little tiny cubes in there. Nothing wrong with like putting that liquid right into the soup too if you feel like you want to save it. I'm going to squeeze a little bit of moisture out of this though because I do want it to sort of absorb from the soup. Really good technique. If you really like extra firm tofu, you can buy the firm tofu and put a plate on top of it with a weight, and the extra water will sort of come out of it. That's a really good technique if you're going to fry it, or if you really want like an oven roasted nice crispy outside with a soft center. We want this to be soft though, so I'm not taking too much moisture out. And I'm just going to try and cut this into as small as cubes as possible. So I'm going to go into 3 big planks. Basically hoping that each person here gets 2. So we could do some math if you guys want to. I won't torture you guys with that, that's okay. So 3 times 6. And we're not going to cook this at all. We want it soft like this. I'm not going to tell you you can't roast it, but if you were going to roast it, I wouldn't put it in the soup. I would use it as more like a garnish. Put it on at the end after, because that way it's going to keep that hard shell, and you know it'll all work out in the end. So these are cut up. We're basically just, as this is heating up, getting ready. I can already start to see some motion, which is great. This thing's working really good today. All right, so we'll be removing some broth to make our slurry. We'll be doing the eggs, and we'll put the tofu, sesame oil, and the scallions. So let's go ahead and cut our scallions. Awesome. I knew there was something else I had to do. Let's see. I'm going to make one more bowl for this tofu. Should have done the scallions first, but oh well, here we are. Order of operations is really fun. I also forgot to talk about mise en place. You guys have seen that most of the time here I haven't had to really leave my station. Everything was right here. That's mise en place. The French really came up with a lot of amazing cooking techniques. Despite what a lot of French chefs would tell you, they didn't come up with cooking though, okay? We just want to make sure that's real clear. But they came up with a lot of really techniques, and more important than anything else, they named them. And language is really important in that way. So once somebody names something and it sounds really cool, everybody starts using it. And so mise en place, meaning everything in its place, is sort of the term that most chefs use now when they are readying their area, getting everything together. It's particularly important in a professional kitchen where time is an issue. If I have to run into the other room to get an ingredient, that's gonna change my entire night, especially if I'm doing that over and over. So having everything in its place, hopefully that place is right next to you, is gonna completely change the way you cook. And it's really helpful for me, especially because I really like to prep as I cook. I don't like to do all my prep and then sit there and wait for things to warm up. I like to try to be doing something at all times. Again, anybody who's been here before will have seen that on the regular. There's occasionally things I'll prep ahead of time. In fact, I've been looking at some of your suggestions for our next series. By the way, this is my plug. The next series is going to be patron suggestions. So earlier this year, we did all of my favorite foods. I want to know what your favorite foods are. I've already got some good suggestions. I've got 3 that I think I can successfully pull off in this kitchen. But I need more because we're hoping to do the next 6 months of all patron suggestions. So on the sign-up sheet, there's also a link to a Google form where you can fill out the suggestions, and you can go back to our calendar and find that link as well. Please tell me a dish you want me to cook. Think about something that I can maybe accomplish with what you see me using here. I'll hopefully choose yours, and then we're going to cook it and share it with everybody. So I've got a couple good ones that I'm really excited about doing. Our staff is also going to be contributing as well, so it's just going to be sort of favorites of sort of Egg Your Town crew. So please give me good suggestions. I'm very excited to cook some of your favorites, the things that have already been suggested that I've chosen. I'm really excited for one particular. I can't tell you yet. But it's a Japanese treat that I'm very, very in love with, and one of my favorite parts about it, and the reason why I really love it, is that it doesn't have any rules. A lot of cooking has a lot of rules, traditions, things that you're only supposed to do, not supposed to do, sushi being one of those things. We're not going to do sushi here, by the way. Well, I mean, we could, I guess, but hasn't been suggested yet. Sushi is one of those things that has a very sort of long history of rules, how you can and can't do things, how you're supposed to make your rice. And this tradition doesn't have any rules. In fact, it's sort of centered on the fact that there are no rules. You should do absolutely whatever you want. And so very excited that somebody suggested that, very hopeful to be able to pull it off in this kitchen. I'm not sure exactly how we're going to do it, but I'm going to figure it out because I want to make it. It was one of my passions for a while. I made a lot of different versions of it. If you've already guessed what it is, you're welcome to say it out loud. I will confirm, but I'm not allowed to tell you. So, or if you are here and suggested it, you might know for sure. So yeah, again, that's my pitch. Please do suggest all sorts of things for me to cook. I really want to cook your favorites. Soon they'll maybe be my favorites, which is great. All right, cool. So we're just going to slice up these scallions. Half of these are going to end up in the soup. The other half I'm going to put out for you guys to use as garnish for your own bowls. Put as much as you want in. I don't think that I've ever made a soup that didn't have some form of allium in it, whether it be garlic or onions, usually both. They just make everything better. And so usually when you're doing something that's a little bit Asian themed, green onion or scallion tends to be the allium of choice. But you can always replace this with just like a normal white onion or red onion or whatever you've got on hand. It's not going to hurt anybody's feelings. They're mostly the same. The only thing you're really going to be missing out on is the greens. And even that, it's just a more mild, softer flavor. So it works better for garnish. But you could definitely just use onions in this dish. I would probably put them in a little bit earlier in the cooking process. Probably like when I did the mushrooms and garlic and carrots, I probably had put onions in there if I was using normal onions. But again, green onions are the best if you can find them. And you could use leeks. You could use absolutely anything. That's really like the beauty of this soup at its core, is that it is a cleanup soup. It is a leftover soup. It is a what do I have in the fridge kind of soup. Obviously you need eggs. That's kind of the only real unifying feature is the eggs. And you don't even necessarily need the cornstarch. You can thicken the soup other ways. Tomato paste, for instance, is a really great way to thicken soups if you want to, use just like a lot more tomato paste, make a really heavy, rich tomato soup. And you can change the flavorings on this as well. Nothing stopping you from doing an Italian egg drop soup. Like put a bunch of basil and oregano in here with your tomato and just like completely change the game. If you think it's going to be good with eggs, that's all that matters about putting in the soup. This we're doing just because it's more classic. We'd already put red wine vinegar in there, so we're already kind of like proving that you can do anything you want. All right, I was really excited this was starting to get hot, but now it's not boiling. I'm going to go find the lid. We really want to get that to a boil. So a boil is where we're going to get the cornstarch to actually start to thicken and become the texture, or rather the consistency that we need. This one's for the scallions. Okay, so that one's going to be for you guys later. This will be for me. We'll just go ahead and put that all right in this bowl. Beautiful. Okay, we are almost done, guys. Isn't that crazy? I love that. I mean, we made this as complex as I possibly could, and we're still 40 minutes in and almost done. So I like that. I am a big fan of that. Soups in general should be pretty simple. Throw a bunch of stuff in a pot. You can roast veggies beforehand. You can brown them in the pan beforehand. Add layers of flavors in different places. But at the end of the day, if you're lazy, just put it in a pot with some water and salt, go take a nap, and you'll have soup. It just happens. It's like a magical little thing. The water is really, really amazing. It makes it so you don't have to pay attention to it. And it also stretches your food if you got to feed a lot of hungry faces. So let's just double check our recipe because I have been known to forget things in the past. Let's see. We did our broth, tomatoes, bamboo shoots. Didn't have, sadly, vinegar, soy sauce, chili flake, and ginger. We've got the broth coming out soon to make our slurry. We'll go ahead and get our cornstarch in there, get that ready. Let's see. We're going to have our eggs here that we're going to drop in. Beautiful. Just reminding myself of all the different pieces. Sesame oil. Yes, sesame oil is right here. That's going to go in with these, so we won't forget it. That's great. I can put these away as we wait for this to heat up. This is something that I learned in my older age, I should say, sorry, is to clean up when I'm not doing something. I used to hate this. I was like, what do you mean clean up? I can clean up when I'm done. But if you do it a little bit as you go, everything sort of just comes together really smooth when it comes time to actually be done in the kitchen. And for any of you who cook regularly, don't we just love cleanup? Isn't that just your favorite part? Some people do love cleanup. You guys can come cook with me whenever you want. If you know a friend that likes cleanup, stop hogging them, okay? I will cook good food for anyone that wants to clean up after me. It really changes the things I'm allowed to cook too, because sometimes I hold back because I'm like, that's gonna mess up my kitchen. So let's go ahead and just get this sesame oil ready to rock. So this is a half teaspoon. Is anybody allergic to sesame? Cool, it's a fairly rare allergy, but I always gotta check anyways. And we're just gonna put a little bit in there. It's just gonna add a little bit of sort of like, what's that? What's going on, which I really like. That's why I love toasted sesame oil. It's perfectly fine to use as an aggressive flavoring agent if you're doing something like sesame noodles, for instance, or I have a really great cocktail that I have on my old Trash Panda blog. If any of you guys haven't checked that out already, from back in the COVID times, I did a blog, Trash Panda EPL for Edgartown Public Library .wordpress.com, and there's a ginger sesame cocktail on there with whiskey that is amazing, and it's got a lot of sesame oil per cocktail, but man, is it delicious. Sesame oil specifically tends to blend really well with something a little bit sweeter and a little acidic, so you usually will get it with like a brown sugar and rice wine vinegar sort of dressing that you'll put on the noodles, but it works great in a cocktail. But for something like this, where I'm putting it in this massive pot of soup, that little bit of sesame oil is just going to give it a little bit of like, what is that? What's going on? Especially when I'm doing mostly veggies in here, adding a little bit of fat back into the mix is going to be really, really helpful for flavoring as well. So anything that is low in fat is innately going to have sort of problems holding flavor. Fat is one of the main things that most flavors bond to. Most flavors in herbs, for instance, are in the oils of the herb. So if you have a dish that's really low in fat, a lot of times that's balanced by adding more salt to make the flavors more accessible to your palate, because you don't have a vehicle, you don't have something fatty to bond to. So adding a little bit of fat in here as well is going to help those flavors come together and help be a vehicle to bring it to our face. The tofu rather is also going to be helpful for that, and the eggs, of course, as well, being nice and fatty, are going to be great. So let's go ahead and just get this together. I thought we were almost out of oil. Come on, baby, let's go. So we're going to do a quarter cup. Where did I put my quarter cup? Aha. We're going to do a quarter cup of cornstarch. We're going to start with a quarter cup of cornstarch. I will see how thick it is after. Again, the recipe says a quarter cup for half this much, and I just haven't done this before. So I'm just trying to make sure I don't end up with a complete mess on this side, because if we go too far with the cornstarch, there's no coming back. I'm going to need to get another pot. It's gonna be a bad day. So so I'm going to start with less, and I can always add more. Hard to take it out, but pretty easy to add more if I need to. So we'll start with the quarter cup, which is what my brain told me. I wrote this recipe based off of some other recipes that I looked at. That's usually what I do when I've never cooked before. I look at like 5 or 6 recipes that are of the same thing. I pull the pieces that make sense, or specifically if like every recipe has the exact same amount of broth, for instance, I'm like, okay, that's a good spot to start. But the recipes I was reading had anywhere from 2 tablespoons to a quarter cup, which is why, and I went with a quarter cup because a lot of them really were talking about how important it is to getting the proper egg smoothie kind of thing, or egg ribbons. So I'm just going to go ahead and get my eggs ready here as well. And these are extra large eggs, I think. Yeah.
Where are you pulling your recipes from? Are they from cookbooks or?
No, almost exclusively. I just do like a internet search. So I'll just go basically for this situation. I just did egg drop soup. I looked up hot and sour soup, and I looked up Chinese egg drop soup. And I looked at like 2 or 3 recipes from each one, and just sort of pulled them all together. Cookbooks are a little bit difficult to find specific recipes in sometimes. I really like if I have a cookbook that I know a recipe is in, that's great, but finding a recipe like an egg drop soup can be a little bit difficult if you pick up a recipe book that you're like, oh, this is definitely going to have it in it, it's soups, and then it doesn't, or it has only one particular type. And so I like the internet specifically because I can get a lot of variety, and I'm never going to pull something directly from the internet and use it as is. I'm always going to modify it in some way, so I don't mind so much the quality necessarily. Some internet articles are just written by some person who could be me. And so you never really know exactly what you're getting into, but that's why I like to look at different types of recipes from different people, and hopefully get something in the end that is exactly what we're looking for. So we're going to get these nice and whisked up. I'm going to whisk them up now so that any air I might incorporate in there has a chance to sort of like fall out. I don't want them whipped, I just want them very smooth. I don't want any weird little eggy bits. I want, when I pour this, it to pour as one sort of homogeneous liquid. And so that's why I'm using a whisk, to really break it up. But I just don't want to add too much air in here, which is kind of hard to do when you're stirring with a whisk. But I really want it to be nice and smooth and not too drippy, so we don't get like big chunks while we're trying to pour a really nice thin stream. Yeah, it looks good. See how it's like just coming off? Perfect. I don't have like any weird chunks trying to fall off. That's exactly what we're looking for. And that's what we're going to be doing. We're just going to be trying to pour it in just that thin little strip like that. If you had like a big like 4-cup measure, that'd be a really good thing to do this in, but we lost our big 4-cup measure somewhere along the line, so oh well. Bowl worked just fine. Fluid dynamics will save us later as we start to pour this out. It's going to still eventually, as it drops, the higher we go up, it'll start to form a nice little string as some sort of physics magic happens. I can't remember the specifics, but it's only one class I didn't do that good in college. Love math, love all my sciences, all my philosophy, but physics is like magic. It really is. They say you should be good at physics if you're good at math, but I don't know. It's like word math. Oh, yeah, this smells really good. Get to a boil. That's good though. That means we got a lot of soup. And it's close. It's really close. I'm actually going to take another flavor test here and just check our salt levels. Oh, that's so flipping good. Yes, guys, this is going to be great. So, I'm putting egg, I'm putting unseasoned tofu in there, and I'm putting sesame oil, which is going to really dampen the salt level. So I'm going to put some more salt in there. As is right now, it's perfect. But once I add all these other ingredients, I think it's going to lower the salt level enough that it's not going to be as poppy as I want it to be. So I'm going to put about a tablespoon of salt in there now, just to anticipate our ingredients coming in later. Come on. Oh, I see what's going on. Oops. Get out of there. Nice. Now we're talking. Perfect. I'm going to leave this out. Do you think people might want... Yeah, I'm going to leave it out. I have a different salt tolerance than some people. My partner being one of them who loves salt to the end of the earth. So I'm going to leave that just in case you want to put a little extra salt in there. You shouldn't need it. I think it's going to be really, really good and poppy, but I want people to be able to eat this the way they like it. So maybe I'll bring the soy sauce out too. Just like you're at a restaurant, you got everything right at the table you need. Okay, cool. We just gotta wait for this thing to boil and we're good to go. I'm actually gonna take advantage of the fact that this isn't super hot right now. I'm gonna take some broth out for my slurry now. If I take this out while it's boiling, you gotta be really careful with the slurry because it might thicken in the bowl, but when it's just lukewarm like this, it actually is gonna just make it combined a lot easier. I'm already feeling like the extra quarter cup might be okay. That recipe Nudo was talking about. I'm not going to put it in yet though. I still want to see what it's going to look like. Let's go. Cool. Anybody got any questions? Doesn't have to be about this particular dish either. I'm here for your culinary knowledge. Yeah.
Why don't you have the pot centered on the middle of, I think there's the burner.
The burner is directly below this. See this little dots right here?
Yeah.
There. This is the small burner, and then below this pot is another little circle as well.
Okay, so it is on the middle.
Yeah, it's on the middle. This is an induction burner, and it does work really well, but this pot is a little bigger than what this was designed for. So if I sort of move this to the side a little bit, you can see the edges right there, the edges right there. So this pot is maybe just like an inch around, a little bit too big. But I just wanted a big pot. I needed this big pot, so I bought it. But I've noticed anybody who's cooked here with me before, I've tried to do potatoes in this a bunch of times, and it just doesn't pick up as well as it should because it has that extra surface area. This thing I think is rated for 8 quarts, and this is 12, I believe. So.
It's totally off-center.
Yeah.
Oh, does it really? Oh, I want to see.
Because it looks like it's coming, you see?
Oh yeah, it totally does. Oh, you know what it is? Because you can't really see the reflection of the metal, right? The metal's reflecting the counter. Oh yeah. Yeah, so that's the camera. I was having a weird camera day today. I couldn't get this thing centered, and I think, for those of you who've been here before, I think it's the other way, too. Usually I'm on the other side of the camera. But hey, we're just making it work, Good question, though. Thank you for checking on me. You never know. I am easily distractible, so. Any other questions? Anything? Yeah, hey.
What kind of oil did you brown the mushrooms in?
I just use basic veggie oil. You can use anything. Olive oil would be fine. If you wanted more sesame flavor, you could use sesame oil as well. I'd be more careful doing the cooking method I did with the mushrooms, where I let them sit, because the sesame oil is a little bit less stable than a high heat oil like a vegetable or canola oil. And olive oil is fine. It'll start to smoke a little bit more, but the moisture from the mushrooms will protect it. But the sesame oil tends to denature a bit. You lose a lot of the flavor. You can cook with sesame oil. It's a decent cooking oil, but you generally want to be cooking really fast. You want to be doing stir fries. You put the sesame oil in, cook, like less than a minute. For that, where I'm letting it sit for a while, I would want to use something that's a little high heat. Coconut oil would do great as well if you like coconut. But yeah, any oil really is going to work. You could even use butter. Butter would be great. But you'd probably want to do a little bit lower temperature if that was the case. I was probably like a medium high. You want to go medium low, and just let it go for longer. Because butter, again, it's got a pretty low smoke point, so it'll start to burn and brown, which is not the end of the world if you want that flavor, but you've got to be, that nutty browned butter flavor is really going to permeate this dish, and we're kind of going more for like the sour and spicy vibes as well. Something a lot more savory, where that nuttiness might take away from it. But if you're doing something where that flavor is going to lend to it, that'd be a great idea to sort of do some brown butter as well. It really just depends on what you're putting in there. I'm definitely going like full Asian flair here. So I chose a neutral oil on purpose to make sure that the shiitakes were the main flavor of that portion of the dish. But good question, thanks. Yeah. Anything else? We're almost there, I swear. Come on, baby, let's go. Cool, we're chill. Let's see. All right, let's see. I can tell a good story. Okay, so I have this. I went out to eat with my friend the other day at one of our local restaurants, and I brought a bunch of board games because I was like, this will be fun. Like, let's go to dinner and play board games. And we got our meal, and we were starting to play our first board game, and they brought our second course before we had finished the first course. And I was like, what's going on? And it turns out they were closing an hour early. And so it's usually probably a good idea to ask when they're going to close when you come in. I think that's the first thing I learned here. But the second thing that was really fun about this, we were playing a story game. It's a really cool game. It's got a bunch of cards with pictures on them. And you like lay the pictures out, and as they're laid out, it's basically an improv exercise, which I love. Big fan of improv in general. As you lay them out, you tell the story. And so you start with sort of different aspects. You can start with the beginning and then the end, and then you get to sort of choose from a bunch of cards how you want to make the middle go. Sometimes it's random, and you flip them over and you have to come up with them on the spot. But there's this one card that has a gentleman with a hunting rifle, and he's staring out the window at this large zeppelin in the sky. And every single time that card came up, like 5 times, every single time that card came up, the storyline was always the same. That guy wanted to shoot that zeppelin down with a gun. I don't know why this was where our brain was at. Something about a zeppelin, just like something about the way he was staring at the zeppelin just made us think destruction. So that's basically my story. Also, make sure you ask when you go into a restaurant if you can play board games there, because it really felt like they did not enjoy our presence. I'm not going to tell you who this was, because I don't want to naysay anybody, and it could have just been one of those nights where they're like, man, we're slow, we should close early. But ask when you come in, and I guess this is a decent time to plug. There is a board game night for any of those who might be interested. That goes on at the barn. The Oak Bluffs Library runs it on Wednesday nights. Really fun, great community that goes there. So just in case you guys want to go play a board game at a restaurant that wants you to be there for sure, it's usually Wednesday nights. Oak Bluffs Library puts it on. Really, really fun crowd. So just throwing that out there for those of you who might be looking for some extra fun in your lives. So this is getting close enough that I think I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to go ahead and put the slurry in there. It's not necessarily hot enough that it's going to thicken, but it is going to tell me if I can put more slurry in. So it'll start to thicken a little bit and let me know sort of what I'm working with here. I'm going to start with this one. Man, this looks so good. So yeah, the tomatoes, one of the big contributions for the tomatoes, apart from like their flavor and their acid, is the color of this broth right now, which is one of my favorite parts about at least egg drop soups I've eaten in the past, is that sort of red broth. And sometimes that comes from chili if it's a really hot soup. Like hot and sour soup is a lot of times a lot spicier than what we made this. But for this one, we're using obviously the tomatoes, and that works really well. I think I'm going to go for the rest of the slurry. I'll let that go. And you don't have to use cornstarch here. You could use I would use some form of starch. I wouldn't use like flour necessarily. Or if you did use flour, I'd want to make a roux beforehand. Again, with that brown butter flavor. I'm trying to think of what we want to use brown butter for. Is it? It's like a soup thickener, right? Yeah, with like the blue container. Yeah, you could definitely use that. Yep. And the reason why that's really nice, the reason they make it so fine is so you could sprinkle it on top without clumps. But I would, in general, I always like to make a slurry no matter what. But yeah, 100% you could use that. That's really good because it's basically flour that's so fine that it has become just starch. It's essentially just wheat starch instead of flour, which is close enough to wheat starch, but it's just slightly different. You could definitely use that. Would work fine. You could use other sorts of thickening agents, like for gumbo, for instance, they use like filet. You could put that in here if we're going for like a sort of totally different type of egg drop soup. That'd be kind of fun, almost like like peppers, onions, and garlic. With that, maybe some of that like brown butter roux, almost like a gumbo, but instead of putting rice and like seafood in there, we just do like egg drop. This could be good with some corn. Well, I want some corn in there now. And then that would be like the chunk tomatoes. I want chunk tomatoes in that one for sure. I think that would be delicious. Okay, cool, sweet. Well, hey, anyways, I can cook. You can always change recipes. That's like the beauty of it. The technique is the most important thing. You take nothing else from this. Take the slurry in the broth and the way that we're gonna put the eggs in later. Like that is the core of egg drop soup. Everything else is just garnish, basically. But making sure your broth is thick enough, and then the way that we're going to put the eggs in there, that's really the core of the soup. Go faster! So close. They say, watch pot never boils, but I've seen it happen, so. It's gonna happen! I did a lot of canning this winter, and there's always that like sort of waiting moment where you're like, okay, we're almost there. You're like cooking your jam or something over here, and you're going, your water bath is ready to go, and then there's like this rush moment. You put it in there, and then you wait 15 minutes, and you're like, okay, crap, what am I supposed to do? I can't start another batch of jam. I don't have anywhere to put it, and that's where I'm feeling my canning moves feels right here. We made some really good stuff this year. I made for the first time ever. So one of my favorite recipes I make is an apple sauce with habaneros. So it's equal parts habaneros and apples, skin and cores. You take the seeds out, and you cook the apples down into like an applesauce, almost with a little bit of water, and then you add brown sugar, apple cider vinegar. Cook that down until it turns into like a sort of liquidy applesauce, and then you put so many habaneros in there. I love spicy food, by the way. I got spicy food tattoos. So you put tons and tons of habaneros in there, and you cook it down, and you don't add any pectin to this because you're using the apple skins and the apple cores. There's a lot of pectin in there. So as you cook them into the applesauce, almost like you were making an apple butter, that pectin is being used. And when you add the apple cider vinegar and the peppers, they add their water. And the whole jelly jamming process is all about boiling off water and then letting sugar and pectin replace that and creating long strains. And so that's essentially what we're doing here, but we're using natural pectin from the apples. I've been making this now for like 6 years. It's one of my favorite jams. And I made a big batch this year, like a massive batch, like this pot full, except I used the bigger pot because the splash is dangerous. I like cover my arm with a towel and I'm like, okay, let's go. So I made a big batch of that. But I branched out. I did some jams with herbs in them this year. I've always liked mint jelly, but I wanted to like incorporate Thai basil into a jam. So I used these really nice red peppers that taste like habaneros but aren't super hot. Added some habaneros in there as well, and did like a Thai basil jam, which was absolutely amazing. I've got 4 jars left of it. It's so good. Thai basil is a very particular basil that's almost kind of spicy. It's got that same sort of basil oil, but it's really aggressive, kind of a punch as far as basil is concerned. It's really beautiful as well. It's got almost like red ridged leaves. And I got a bunch in my CSA this year. I was able to pick as much as I wanted. So it was like every single week I was taking it home, doing like beef stir fries. I love like chopped beef with just a little bit of onions and then just tons of basil, like tons of basil.
Looking for suggestions, beef stir fries.
Oh yeah, for sure. I could do that. Unfortunately it's harder to find like really good basil in the winter, but yeah, a good basil stir fry. Herbs in general are something that I got basically unfettered access to this summer, so I have been incorporating them into everything. They're one of the best things to eat in general. Herbs tend to have a really high concentration of vitamins and minerals that you need. Lettuce and stuff has sort of gotten more and more watery as time has gone by, although we do have a lot of really nice lettuces here on the island that are being grown locally. But most store-bought lettuce it's just kind of fed exactly what it needs to grow, exactly that size, so they can cut it and sell it to you. But herbs, they don't taste good if they don't have their minerals in them, their vitamins in them. So there's no real incentive to grow bigger, bunchier herbs that taste like nothing. So if you have a good herb that tastes really good, that herb's going to be good for you. So I just basically been replacing greens with herbs, and it's my favorite thing ever. Stir fry especially is great. I'll just like cook it down, get like a pan, it's about that tall. Stir fry's about there, and I just fill the rest with herbs. All of them. Basil, cilantro, dill, just anything you've got in your fridge. Cook it down. It wilts down just like spinach or any other herb will. And the flavor is just like it just blows your face away. You gotta like herbs, obviously, if you're putting herbs in everything, but it's top notch. Okay, we're so close. Everything's starting to float to the top, which is really good. All right, I'm gonna get some broth here so we can get another slurry going. We are so close. I really thought, oh yeah, see, that's good. Okay, cool. So I don't know if you guys can see that. That one thickened already. That's good. That means we're pretty much ready to go. Whew. All right, we're almost there, guys. Just gonna add a little bit more liquid in there so I can get it out of this bowl, and that's good. That means that this is hot enough to start thickening the slurry that I'm gonna put in there, which is exactly what we need, and definitely hot enough to cook our eggs. Roop. All right, lovely. Yeah, okay, cool. So you guys can't feel this, but it feels different now. Like I feel sort of resistance when I stir. It's not splashing as much. Like when I stir, it doesn't like splash over the edge because it's got more, it's more viscous. And that's exactly what we're looking for. We don't want it to be so thick that that it like sticks to your mouth. I mean, and I've seen hot and sour soups that are like that, and there's nothing wrong with that. But we just want it thick enough that it's going to give a little bit of resistance to our egg and help us make some really nice egg threads. So this is great. This is exactly what we're looking for. It just like sounds different. I don't know. It's just like it feels and sounds smoother. It's exactly what I'm looking for. I'm just going to let it heat up a little bit more. I'm going to start my my rotation here. This is what we're going to do. We're making a nice little tornado in the center. This is what everybody tells you to do for poached eggs, which I'd never do. And then we're just going to make sure our eggs are still good. I'm just going to beat some of those tops off. I don't want too much air bubbles in here. Perfect. Okay, here we go. This is a moment of truth, guys. Never done this before. All right, we get a nice good flow going. Here, wait. I gotta make sure you guys can see it. We're going the other way. My mom told me when I was younger that she thought I was born left-handed, but my whole family's right-handed, so I've been trying to incorporate the ambidexterity, but I'm still not great at it. I definitely can't chop with my left hand. I've tried. It's not easy. If you guys have never, be careful with knives always, but if you've never tried cutting with your hand, just give it a shot. You never know. Maybe you'll be really good at it. All right, here we go. Oh, that's too much. Nice, thin layers. Oh yeah, baby. Come on. A little bit thicker. Come on. Let's go. I mean, this is going to taste good no matter what happens here. No judgment, okay? I'm really hopeful this turns out good, though. That's what I'm doing this time. I'm going to learn today if I should be doing it somewhere else. That looks pretty good. I think it looks pretty good. Let's take a quick peek. Yeah, we got some nice little egg threads. I'll take it. I'm pretty happy with that. It could be maybe better, but I don't know. I think we're going to be happy with that. All right, let's go ahead and put the rest of our ingredients in here. So this is the green onions, the tofu, and the sesame oil. Bring this thing right up to the top. And we're really just warming these through at this point now. We don't need to cook the tofu. It's already been cooked. Green onions are perfectly good raw. Sesame oil, same way. We're really just warming this through. We're also cooling the soup a little bit as well. We don't want that egg to cook too much. We just want it to be exactly how it is. Awesome. Let's get this space free and start serving, guys. I should probably just make sure it's not going to, hurt you guys or something. Oh my gosh. This actually looks pretty good. I think the eggs are... Yeah, I'll take that. Sour. A little bit spicy. Not too spicy, though. Yeah, that's going to be delicious. All right, so as usual, those of you in the back, please come up to get your bowls first. I'm going to count real quick. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, great. And then let me get you some spoons for your scallions and your spices and your salt. Okay, let's see. This is 12 quarts. This ladle, I probably shouldn't do a full ladle. I'm going to do small servings at first, and then once everybody's had a chance to have some, I'll let you guys come up and go ahead and get seconds if you want them. But I just want to make sure everybody gets some. I think it turned out pretty good. I like. You can see the little egg threads. I think we did it. We did egg drop. This counts.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Oh yeah, we're gonna have plenty. Okay, cool, good. Be careful, it's hot.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
It's like it's trying to wake up.
Yeah, well, that's
Then it's like, go back to sleep.
Of course. So I think I might have maybe been stirring too vigorously, which is why I'm getting, you'll see I got like nice small strands of egg. I think if I had a really slow roll, I might have gotten longer bits. But that's just me learning, you know. Yeah, so I think, you know, I was going like pretty aggressively to make sure I had a nice thing. And I think just like a really slow move might have done a longer sort of thin strips. In the picture you guys all have, you can see there's almost like some like big strands, and I think that happens when you know they are able to fall and like connect to each other without being cut up. And a different spoon might work better too. Like a flat paddle might have worked better than this, which could have been like sort of cutting the liquid, making almost too much turbulence basically. But that's cool. Now that I've done this once, I'm gonna do it all the time. I wouldn't call this a mistake either. I was going to say I learned from my mistakes, but this is no mistake. And again, you can change everything. If you don't like the sour aspect of it, don't put vinegar in your stew. If you don't like the spicy aspect or you want it more spicy, change it up. Do whatever you want. That's the beauty of soup in general, and this soup particularly, is there is no rules involved in this soup.
because it will drag for
You know, I'm also wondering if maybe I should try thickening it more too next time. It's pretty thick, but like if I made it thicker, whether I'd get better eggs as well.
Would it be more cornstarch?
Yeah, exactly. And I used as much as it told me to, so. But I did have a little bit more liquid than, that's going to be way too full to eat. I did have a little bit more liquid than it originally called for, so that could be totally.
Nice job today.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chris.
Of course, thanks for coming. Oh yeah, we got plenty for seconds if anybody wants some.
That's good, Chris.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Of course. I will tell you, Michael, the next couple suggestions so far have been a lot of meat, so it might not be great for you.
It's okay.
I just, I've always want to try and include everybody, so.
What crackers or bread would you suggest with this, or not? Or
Honestly, yeah, I mean, you could do anything you want, but I don't think, like, it usually comes rice, honestly.
yeah.
Or like a rice cracker could be good, but yeah, I think usually it's because it's the broth itself is kind of thickened. Like the cornstarch is your bread in a way. Yeah, I can't think of, like, nothing pops in my mind as like that would be good with egg drop soup.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a good bit of toast with butter,
You know what's a
honestly.
good challenge? Brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand.
Oh, yes.
Oh god.
Yes.
That's a good way to get cavities.
That's what they say. You
Try
should
brushing your
try.
teeth on one foot.
or bent
one
over.
foot.
Wait, it's so weird. You like do just change one little thing and your whole body just freaks out. It's like I can't do this anymore.
No, try brushing your teeth, really. Your mind is all into brushing with the dominant hand.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You'll have
It's wild.
toothpaste all over
I've
the
done it. Well, I always get toothpaste on my face anyway, so it's perfect. It's gonna be the same as always. So guys, please give me suggestions on what to cook on the website, or right now if you want to. By all means, not afraid to take suggestions now. But I want more. I've got 3 that I think I can pull off in this kitchen. The rest are a little bit too involved for this many people. So I'd love more suggestions.
So there's the soup that's similar to this, but pronunciation is, I've got it wrong, but alvamagardo soup.
Oh, I don't
It's
know.
like a lemon.
Oh yeah. The lemon, yes, lemon soup. So they use the lemon juice instead of vinegar to sour the soup.
Okay.
But it's an egg drop as well. Like there's egg
I
in it.
believe it's an egg drop.
Yeah, I've heard of that before.
No tomato, so it's more lemon colored.
Yeah, it's a broth. It's a more brothy soup. Exactly.
I'll look up and see how you spell it.
Avgolemono.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was actually looking. That was one of the ones I looked at as well. I think they put chicken in it usually. Yeah, it is delicious. Yeah, Greek soup with a mixture of eggs, lemon juice, and warm broth. Yep. That would be great. That's a great Greek way. You put some oregano in there. You can really have a lot of fun with this. Time
See, I gave
seconds.
you a theme on your suggestions.
Oh yeah.
All Asian.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. You did have a good one. I will say that you have been chosen. So at least one of those is coming on to this area. But some of them are hard to do en masse.
That's what I
So,
was trying to. I mean, that's.
but no, but you made some good choices. I mean, I picked 2 of them so far. So.
But you checked the, excuse me, so you checked the thickening before you added the egg in, right? Of the.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and I think I probably could have thickened it more. Honestly, like I have
And
more
what about the
cornstarch.
cornstarch? Oh, you need more than a fourth of a cup of cornstarch?
I ended up with about a half cup, and I think honestly I probably could have used more because that can of tomato water that I put in after I think sort of unbalanced a little bit, and also my cup still has some cornstarch on it, so I probably could have done like maybe even one bowl more.
So stewed tomatoes or any kind is fine?
Yeah, anything you want. The thicker the tomatoes, the less cornstarch you might have to put in later.
Without the,
Yeah. So I purposely got ones that didn't have basil in them, but basil's not going to hurt this. Basil is still kind of like an Asian flavor in some ways, so it would have worked out okay. Do you want another?
great, thank you.
Yeah, good. I'm happy you like it.
Well, I never don't like your food. Thank you. But the other thing is, thank you. So tasty. I was serious about the beef stir fry, unless you can't do it.
No, I think that's a great idea.
Well, it's your idea.
No, yeah, 100%.
Who doesn't like beef stir fry? I mean,
It's
people
the
would
biggest,
only beef.
the main reason why I wouldn't do it is because of the availability of the basil. I want really good basil, and getting that much basil is going to be like $20. But if it was the middle of summer, I'd be so down because I'd have unlimited access to basil basically.
You know, 5 years ago, I bought, when the Oak Bluff School was doing gardening, I bought a thing of
So let me
chives.
get trash out. Trash is up here. You guys need it.
Bought a thing of chives. I planted it just in, one of those clay
Oh yeah,
pots.
chives are the best.
And then the next year I got
I have some
garlic
chives that Sarah gave me still that are like
But I
ancient
left
at this
them-
point.
I left them outside in the
From
winter.
15 years ago or something.
So like 5 years now, I leave them outside in this clay pot
Yep.
every winter. They die down, and then in the spring they start coming up.
Yep, because they're self-seeding.
It's amazing.
They propagate not only through the root system but also through the little
flowers.
the flowers. Yeah, so they spread far and wide.
Well,
They're really good.
I actually divided one of them this summer because they were just too clumpy or something. I don't remember why. And I thought, oh God, I killed it.
No, yeah, they're so hard to kill. They're crazy. Guys,
This is delicious.
I'm really happy about it as well. Guys, I want to thank you all for coming. Thank you for eating my food. Keep in mind, if you're not already signed up for the newsletter, please do. You'll get a news blast with whatever we're doing for next month. I don't even know what we're doing because I'm still waiting for more suggestions. I want to try and plan out the next 6 months, so please hit me with more suggestions. I did get beef stir fry, which I think is going to make it because I love herbs. I just need to figure out how to make it happen. But I want to thank you for coming to Chef Look Cooks again. I'll see you all next month. Thanks for coming.